For security as well as aesthetic reasons, some upper-level windows had external aluminium lattice frames fitted within the window recesses that complemented the underlying theme of the hospital complex. Continuing the theme, and for primarily decorative purposes, many other areas were fitted with blue lattice frames, including blue-coated aluminium sunshades. External ground-level areas within the footprint of the hospital buildings, as well as outside the main entrance, were paved predominantly with 50 by 50 centimetre natural granite paving slabs. This paving totaled more than 1,000 square metres and provides a non-slip finish. Precast concrete curbing was laid around all roads, footpaths and parking areas throughout the hospital complex. The combined length of these curbstones amounted to more than 4,000 linear metres. Footpaths and road divides were constructed using concrete pavers of varying colours and sizes, which were laid by hand on sand beds in a variety of patterns. This paving covers more than 35,000 square metres throughout the project. The boundary wall of the hospital complex was designed as a modular, precast concrete footing, column and beam frame structure based on a 2.4-metre horizontal module. Blue-painted tubular steel lattices were then installed inside the precast modular frame by a dedicated crew of fitters. The boundary wall stretches for more than 2,000 metres, approximately 500 metres along each side of the site. A number of blue-finished steel structures, which were to provide shade for seating areas, were erected outside the main entrance to the hospital building, adding further accent to the underlying design of the complex. External areas of the project were extensively illuminated, with the parking and roads alone requiring 563 street lighting poles, both single and double luminaries, whilst elsewhere, footpaths were illuminated using smaller post lights, and landscaping was lit with ground lighting. Roads and external parking areas around the site were predominantly of hot-laid asphalt construction, producing nearly 70,000 square metres of asphalt surfaces. However, the main access roads to, from and around the main building were of concrete construction. These 8,000 square metres of concrete roads were finished with small, non-slip porcelain tiles of varying colours, shapes and sizes. They were laid on an epoxy mortar bed in fishtail patterns using GRP tile template frames, after which the gaps were filled with a cement grout. External parking spaces, including those on the top level of the multi-storey car park, were provisioned with tensioned white solar-reflecting fabric shades, supported on blue-finished steel tube structures. The shade material is extremely durable, with welded seams, as well as being stretch-resistant, weatherproof and UV-resistant. Around the hospital complex, 6 fountains were installed, some outside the main entrance and some within courtyards, and all were finished using selected polished stones and hand-laid glass mosaic tiles. Particular attention was given to the extensive landscaping, with specialist subcontractors profiling the areas, installing an automatic irrigation system and supplying various plants and ground coverings. A total of 300 palms were planted, along with a further 1,450 other trees, and numerous shrubs, flowers, grasses and lawn areas. During construction of the main hospital building, temporary cantilevered loading platforms were erected for each subsequent story, so that cranes could deliver materials such as concrete for the floor screed. All the internal floor finishes were 100mm thick steel mesh reinforced structural concrete. The first services to be installed were drainage pipes, followed by HVAC ductworks. The sequence and location of the services installation in hospital works necessitate extra careful planning and design due to the high congestion of services in limited space. This is also true for the electrical circuits required in modern hospitals, such as power, lighting, data, fire alarms, telecommunications and BMS systems, resulting in enormous amounts of conduit needing to be installed within the ceiling cavities. The interior blockwork walls that were to have paint applied were first given an additional 2mm plaster skim coat over the 20mm thick cement plaster. Gypsum board and ceiling surfaces were also given a 2mm skim before any paint was applied. More than 200,000 square meters of internal painting systems was applied throughout the hospital, which was colour matched to the relevant scheme. However, special antibacterial paints were applied to surfaces in the operating theatres and delivery rooms. For walls that were to be tiled, the cement plaster was given a rough finish to provide for a more comprehensive bond with the tile adhesive. Over 300,000 square meters of wall tiles and nearly 50,000 square meters of ceramic floor tiles were laid throughout the hospital buildings using epoxy-based tiling grout. The project required more than 4,000 doors, the majority of which were of heavy-duty timber construction with a civil defense level fire rating and color coordinated to the sector of the hospital they were located in. In all, the false ceilings amounted to over 100,000 square meters. Predominantly gypsum board or ceiling tiles of mineral fiber or metal were used. Large areas of the hospital floors were fitted with heavy-duty vinyl sheeting, amounting to more than 35,000 square meters, and secured using contact adhesive. The flooring followed specific color plans and required specialist fitters for the installation. The project was now nearing completion, and all that remained were a number of finishing touches. This included the installation of glass safety walls with complementary stainless steel handrails and balustrades, decorative blue glass wall hangings, complete with stainless steel fittings, stamped brushed steel ceiling decoration, etched glass safety walls with wood handrail and stainless steel detailing, and the installation of an enormous amount of informative signs. After a construction period lasting just 40 months, Wakra Hospital was finished and handed over to the complete satisfaction of the client. The South Building ground floor comprises outpatient clinics, dental clinic and renal dialysis. The North Building ground floor comprises a further outpatient clinic and the physical rehabilitation areas. The main building ground floor comprises records, admissions, prayer room, pharmacy, cafeteria, and of course the main entrance. It was the architect's wish for the hospital's main entrance to be exceptionally spacious and light. This was achieved by incorporating into the design a ceiling height of 8 meters and the inclusion of predominantly glass walls, allowing plenty of light to fill the space. Adding to the light and space is a central vaulted skylight. This features a suspended wave glass installation, complementing the geometric theme found throughout the hospital. This theme is mirrored on the floor below, in marble imported from the Czech Republic. The marble was first imported into Saudi Arabia, where, for precision, all the interlocking pieces were cut using laser. The ornamental safety glass parapet also features this recurring motif. All of the internal ornamental glass and the vast majority of the stainless steel in the hospital was custom made in Saudi Arabia. The wood found in the main entrance, and indeed throughout most of the hospital, is of North American cherry and was mostly fabricated in J&P's own workshops in Riyadh. The blue granite for the main reception desk countertop, as well as those of the smaller satellite stations, was imported from Italy. There is a wealth of detail to be discovered throughout the hospital's main entrance. To the rear of the main entrance are the two central voids. These each house 4 elevators, giving access to all 6 floors of the main hospital building. Each void reaches to a height of 32 meters, the culmination of which is a steel and glass dome, bathing the upper floors in natural light. Adjacent to the main entrance hall is a pleasant public cafeteria and refreshment area. All the stainless steel food display equipment and kitchen equipment came from a local Qatari supplier. Although every floor in the hospital has a prayer area, the main prayer room can also be found adjacent to the main entrance. It is split over 2 floors, with the male area on the ground and the female area on the floor above. This expansive space has a locally produced carpet that covers well over 600 square meters. All the different areas throughout the hospital have their own color code to assist with identification. Green areas are in the administration building. Orange and pink areas are in the south building, and blue areas are in the north building. The central hospital building has all 3 color schemes represented. The color code system really is essential, given that there are more than 14 kilometers of labyrinthine corridors crisscrossing the hospital buildings. The nurse stations, of which there are a total of 60, come in a variety of configurations, but all were imported from Italy. They are a steel structure design with a cherry wood finish. There are a total of 69 different examination rooms in the hospital, 35 of which are for outpatients, the others being more specialized. The outpatient rooms are all located on the ground floor of both the south and the north buildings. Part of the physical rehabilitation area includes a variable temperature pool. This has a hydraulic immersed platform and overhead patient immersion retrieval monorail system. Also on the ground floor, within the administrative area, is a fully equipped auditorium. There is seating for 116 people in comfortable black leather upholstered seats, and acoustic wall panels ensure high-fidelity audio. Moving up to the first floor, we find the majority of the various examination and treatment rooms. These all have bedhead units adjacent to each patient position. These contain service outlets for the treatment of patients. Each unit includes outlets for medical gases, vacuum system, data and power systems, lighting and communications. Some of the examination rooms include observation areas for patients with contagion symptoms. These have their own separate stainless steel air conditioning duct systems. The first